Hello, my friends. How are you? I hope you're doing so well. God, it feels like forever since I sat down and did a little video like this. I'm so happy to do it. I love it. Just really feels right to sit and chat. And do you see my kitty? He's kind of blending in because I got all my covers are all a mess right now. But there's a little kitty. There's a little kitty. He's blessing this video. um, and I wanted to make this video to give people some hope if it feels like their life is going crazy. If it feels like your life is changing, like you are in the midst of changes that are not that you didn't initiate, let's say. If you are losing friends, if you are being brought to the same cycle that you have been trying to get through for years and again, it seems like if you don't address this lesson with this person, then it's just going to come up in another relationship. If you maybe just lost your job, or if you're going through those kinds of tumultuous times, and we just had eclipse season over March, so I am willing to bet that it's more than just me who's feeling this way, and it's a good thing. Certainly doesn't feel like a good thing when you're in the midst of it. Let me tell you that. I know that because I've been there, and I kind of am there right now, but I have experience. I have experience with this now where I'm like, you know what? This is actually a good thing. Okay, so what do I mean by that? And essentially, when you move forward to improve your life in whatever way, whether it's getting rid of limiting beliefs, or if it's getting out of a relationship that's holding you back, or maybe it's your general living situation that's not working for you anymore, or a job, or things of that nature, and you're just at a point in your life where you're like, things are changing, things are shifting, and it feels icky, gross, and bad at first. But it's because you're shifting into, you can call it your higher timeline if you want. I like to think of it as a frequency change. So I talk about this all the time. We are all energetic beings. There is not much more to us than water and vibration, essentially. And when we do the inner work, which probably if you're seeing this video, no, definitely. I would say definitely if you're seeing this video, then that means that you're already doing that work. And then it's like suddenly you start to do that work, and the people who have used you for your energy, the people who don't have their own energetic stronghold and they don't have their own rich inner worlds like you might have, they start to get attracted to you. And it's like moths to a flame. You've turned your inner light on, and the people that it's not, I know this, I know that everybody has their own inner light, but not everybody nourishes it. So if you're around people that are not nourishing their inner world and their inner flame, and you start to do that, like I said, it's like moths to a flame, where they're like, oh my God, I see your flame is bright and I want that for myself. So I'm going to hijack your flame to try to take it for myself. But as most of us know, it doesn't work like that. You have to ignite, kindle, and rekindle, and just work on your own inner light, because you have your own unique frequency, your own unique flavor. So when you shift into doing the work that, and people say that, it's like, what is the work? So in my opinion, when I start to do the work, that means that I am listening to things that motivate me. I am making conscious effort to find out the beliefs that I have that are not making me feel good. And I will do my own exercises that, obviously, if you want to learn those, then send me an email and we can look at getting a session together. But there are just certain tools that I have and things that I do that I've relied on to not only recognize what these limiting beliefs are, but to move them out of my energy field. Because if you don't, if you don't acknowledge them, then they just like stick around. But if you don't actually move them out of your energy field, then it feels like they're just like these ricocheting thoughts in your head that, like, yeah, you might not want to believe that, but it's what you're telling yourself all day. And if you don't get it out of your body in one way or another, then it's just kind of going to keep like just bouncing around in there. And that doesn't help anybody, because you need to tell yourself things that do move you forward, but there's often icky stuff in the way. So you have to move the icky stuff out of the way. The icky thoughts, the thoughts of shame, the thoughts of guilt, the, replaying certain situations in your head over and over and wishing that you did things differently. You got to get rid of that. You just got to let go of that. And, there are ways that you can let go of it. That's not necessarily, talk therapy. It can be more private if you want that. But that to me is the work. That's what shadow work is. That's taking an inventory of what you're telling yourself, getting to the why, and then reprogramming those specific beliefs and the feelings of safety that you have to do that and undo it and redo it and reprogram. And, that is the work. That's the work, is doing that again and again and again. And there's going to be times where you do it and you reach the next level, but then eventually that level is going to plateau, and then you got to get to the next one. So the more that you know how to do these things, the better. And it's not just a one and done. Then they're going to see what you're doing and be like, oh my God, like I need whatever you got. But obviously it's teachable, but it's not transferable, because when you do the work, it changes your field, which, yes, can influence others. But if they are brought into your field resonance, your energetic resonance, your aura, and they want to get to your level, they're first going to be triggered by what's in the way of them getting to where you are. And like I said, that is the work to do. That is the unfolding, because your frequency, and can call it a higher frequency if you want, but your strengthened frequency, your increased magnetism, is not going to be a copy paste for somebody else. So yes, you can be around somebody that has a really strong magnetic aura and you can feel that and you can be like, oh my God, I need that. But the reason why you don't have it is because you haven't done that work in the middle. So say you've started that work. You've started to look at your own limiting beliefs. You've started to listen to things that are motivating. You've started to, for me, it's just getting back into the law of attraction and getting back into the programming of my reality, essentially. And the more that I shift back into that now, because I know how to do it, I know what it looks like for me, it's easier for me just to get back into the stream and, start swimming. And because I've done it before, I know where I'm going, I know what it looks like. And yeah, I might get really far off sometimes, but I can just dive back in because I've done it so many times before. And then you do that and you start to do it and your life starts to change. And you start to lose certain people. You start to lose certain people. You start to lose certain situations that you had at that time, but you're making a frequency shift. You are literally changing and recalibrating everything that's around you from the inside out. And that's why it takes a little bit. You start to do the work, but then things around you start to recalibrate and you're like, wait, why am I having to go through the same lesson again? Why is this person and I, like, why are we not getting along? Like, what's going on here? Why am I not liking the same foods? Why am I, wanting to do these certain activities that I never wanted to do before? It's because your outer world is now changing and shifting to match the inner work that you've been doing. So when you get to the point where you start to like lose friends, that's kind of the sweet spot. That's the place where you want to be honest, for a little while you're working on becoming the best version of yourself. Because the people that were with you when you were not the best version of yourself, and I don't mean like family that you're with all the time, I mean like your friends that, were with you, and you were talking about the same things and agreeing all the time, and then suddenly you're not agreeing anymore. Those are the kind of people that will shift out of your life because you are not on the same frequency anymore. And my fiance brings this up all the time, but there is this like clip. I don't think I can put it in for copyright reasons, but you've probably seen it. It's a pretty popular law of attraction clip, but it's Snoop Dogg. And he's like, I don't know, I think he's talking to A$AP Rocky, maybe? I don't remember, but he's talking to one of his dudes, and Snoop Dogg is basically explaining that you can't bring everybody with you. Like the higher that you rise in life by being more successful, by pursuing the projects that you want to pursue and having them received well, there are going to be people in your life that can't do the same thing, or they choose not to do the same thing, rather. And then they're going to see you keep going up and keep going up in your vibration, your frequency, your success, your life. And it's up to them to close the gap, essentially, is what he's saying, is that you can reach down and you can try, but in my experience, I guess in Snoop Dogg's experience too, you can't like scoop those people up and take them with you, because they are where they are because of who they are. Sure, you can give people opportunity, but it's up to them to take the opportunity to match you there. Because if you give somebody who's down here, like, say a bunch of money because you've just, really fell into your own windfall, and you want to help, your best friend that's like down here and is on a vibration that's just not a match anymore, and say, you give them 20 grand to like help them, right? And they don't meet you and use that 20 grand to invest in themselves and raise their own vibration, then they're just going to use it and spend it, and then probably complain about it to you, and then ask you for more money. And it's because they're not doing the work and they're staying down here. It's the people that are willing to meet you where you are, that are willing to close the gap themselves. Those are the ones that you want to keep around. And you can tell because those are the people that have already done work on themselves, that have already, and I don't mean plastic surgery. I mean the work that I was talking about before, the, shadow work, you can call it, the taking a personal inventory of what is actually going on in your life, and how you can improve it, and how you can make changes and make life better for yourself. Because, and reincarnation or not, we have this lifespan right now. And the more that you can improve your life and the better you can make it for yourself and your loved ones, I just think like that's just the goal here. And, and what that looks like is different to everybody. To somebody it might be just money, but to somebody else it might be a relationship, right? And so when you do this work on yourself, and you are working on your magnetism, working on your aura, working on your chakra system, working on your energetic field, and cleansing it, refreshing it, programming it, all of these wonderful things that you can do kind of once you get the gunk out of the way, like I said before, the shadow work, then you project your reality out from the center of your body. So when the center of your body is strengthened, when you're strengthening your whole chakra system, when you're going into your core, when you're going into your heart, when you're strengthening your inner world and your outer world changes and you start to lose the friends, maybe you lose the job that's holding you back. These are all really good things. They don't feel good at first. Trust me on that. I know that. But it's a sign that the work that you're doing on the inside is now starting to show up. So that means that the work that you're doing is actually real. It's actually reflecting into your reality. And, whether that work is just working on your limiting beliefs, maybe it's changing how you look so that when you are thinking of how you would look in the reality that you desire, then how can you look like that now? How can you look like that person now to further bring that new reality and that new frequency in where you're this different person? Then there's going to be people that one, you'll probably try to sabotage yourself. That's kind of just what happens. So you gotta get that out of the way. And then two, there's probably gonna be people around you that try to sabotage you because they can't do it. They can't close the gap. They don't want to close the gap because they're happy, content, let's call it, being miserable. They're comfortable, and being comfortable is not what you want to be in life. Yes, you want to have comfort and have a good life, but if what's around you is not serving you, but you don't have the balls to change anything about it to improve your life, then that's when you're too comfortable, because it's not moving you forward, it's keeping you stagnant. Any comfort that is keeping you stagnant is not good. And I don't mean like a vacation here and there. I mean a lifestyle of comfort, of not wanting to push yourself forward, of not wanting to dig up the icky stuff so you can look at it and move it through your body. Those are all the uncomfortable things that we have to do to transcend and move forward. And yeah, so if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my God, my life is falling apart, things are changing, I started to do this work on myself, things are changing without me having to change anything on the outside, it's because you're doing the inner work that you need to do to get to that next level. So it's actually a very exciting time for you. It might not feel exciting, but the more that you can shift into the excitement and the happiness and the joy of reality responding to you, of the reality dream syncing up with this new and improved version of you, and watching your life be this new and improved version of life, not everybody can come with you. Okay? So you just wish them all the best. And if they do the work on their own and then eventually they meet you where you're at, great. Everybody's better for it. But if they're not willing to do that, you can't do it for them. You can try. I've tried. Yeah. If your life is shifting and it's looking like things are really taking a turn for the worse after you've done all this self-improvement, it's for the best. Trust me. I've been there. I got Scorpio all over my chart. It is always for the best sometimes you got to burn some bridges, and you have to burn through karma this way. And then that allows you to get to that next level. And then you get there and you start having, exciting things happen. And then you plateau and then you get to the next level and then you do it all again. But it's so worth it. It's, it's the one thing that everybody does, whether, you come from wealth or not, you come from success or not. Even the wealthiest of people have to do this sort of work because they might not be emotionally regulated, and you have to work on that in order to feel actual happiness and true joy. So the shtick here is doing the inner work, and your outer reality is going to match it. It's just going to look like things are falling apart first, but that's an excellent sign, and it's exactly where you want to be.